Did you know that there is a biological blind spot that is impacting your leadership and nobody is talking about it? It's there. I mean, but you just can't see it. And what I have studied for years as the authentic power strategist and my team in the Rise with Diana movement and our Rise Advocates movement, what we have discovered is that there is a hook, there is a missing link. And the missing link that a lot of us don't study is our biology. Women say things like, after they feel safe, I just don't feel like myself. I just, I don't know what's wrong with me. And I just want to let you know there's nothing wrong with you in your character, but your biology has shifted and you need a new strategy. And I have exactly what you need. So gather your team. If you want to, listen to this while you're driving, personally, I would pull over, grab a pen because you're going to want to take some notes on this one. I promise you. All right. And it has something to do with our executive biology audit. I'll see you on the inside of the video. You remember the time you said, "Oh my gosh, I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't feel like myself." Things have shifted. It's really important for you to mark that date down because that is the beginning of an invitation that you get to look at this biological blind spot. And this is for women who are 40, 45 and up, who are experiencing perimenopause, menopausal symptoms that no one, and I mean hardly anyone, has prepared what is leading the woman, right? Because some of us have said, oh, we're just tired, we're burnt out. What we are is women, and we have a biology that speaks very clearly to a shift and a change in our life. And it happens about that time, 40, 45 plus. And what we have noticed in our research is, because we've been focusing on executive women, is a lot of the women are just not moving. A lot of them have, coiled up in shame because they just can't seem to get it right. They don't have no one to talk to because for years they've been considered the person who's got it all together. They're the ones leading the meetings. They're the ones leading the committees. They're the one taking on like 3 or 4 board seats. And all of a sudden something changes. And you don't know that, obviously we do know that our period ends, but then there's no step by step manual to say, okay, what's next? Except for something's off, something isn't right. And it doesn't always impact people the same way. I want to share with you that this is huge. This is major. And there are so many experts who are coming on the scene now to be able to talk about this issue. It's a real issue. And for those of us who don't believe it's a real issue, I want to share my story because I have always considered myself to be an athlete. I've always eaten well. I work out. I'm moving my body. I'm doing the things that I was taught when I was 13, 14, when I started running track. And I carried that same kind of positioning through to college, and I got more coaching on how to become a, high performing athlete. And I took that high performing athlete to my high performing work. I applied the same principles. I did basically the same things because I knew the art of discipline. I knew how to function at a high level without sleep. And I just did it. And I was your typical type A woman, except for then went on to law school and I started doing triathlons right after I had kids. So yes, I fit every single quadrant of what a high achieving woman would be. And that's typically the women that I attract. But what we weren't prepared for was, of course, we've got books on having children, we have books on delivering, we have books on losing weight, but no one really quite prepared us for what happens after our bodies lose estrogen and progesterone. Mm, that's a whole other topic. And I am telling you that there is hardly any leadership books, research groups that are tying perimenopause, menopause to your ability to lead effectively in your organization. And I have a suspicion that it has to do with, well, we don't want to say that high achieving women are less than because they do have brain fog or aches and pains or that feeling of not feeling like myself and could perhaps be depressed or anxious or overwhelmed in any way. But yet, still, the studies show that women in the McKinsey study, at least for example, let's say McKinsey, as of December 2025, said that women lack more ambition than men in a high percentage, also listing that women are more burnout than men. And the foundation of that stat was that, oh, we're just carrying a lot more loads. We have more duties at home than men. Yeah, well, we had those duties at home more than men forever, but we were able to sustain them when we did have estrogen and progesterone. And I am not at all saying, and those types of chores and activities are what we should do. Okay, let's just keep that clear. That's not what I'm saying. I am telling you that when you have estrogen and progesterone, estrogen is the great regulator hormone within women. You pull that away, you basically pull away what I would like to call the motherboard of a computer because it is tapped into every single aspect of your body. It regulates every single receptor within your brain. And so, as a result, when that is pulled out, your brain is literally going crazy. Not you, not your character, but your brain is literally trying to find estrogen. And when it's not finding it, it's trying to rewire itself. It literally is trying to create new neural pathways, which is part of the reason why we as women don't feel like ourselves. There's a whole series that I would love to talk more about that, but I want to keep this video brief and clear. But if you do like to dive into the science, you want to learn more and talk more about it, you need to join me on Sundays at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for Not Feeling Like Myself Sundays. That's when we dive deep into these topics and we talk about every aspect of dealing with estrogen and progesterone, the lack of estrogen and progesterone, and at this stage of our leadership. And that's who I'm addressing. That's who I want to impact. And I want you to understand you're not alone. So, after all this time, and I want to give you also a little bit of history. We started the Rise Advocates Academy. It was it was really founded on the idea that I want women to speak up. I want women to advocate for themselves and for others. And I want them to go do the thing. You got this. Come on. I'm here to support you. But what I have found is it wasn't just the narratives that were holding people back. Again, it was our biology. It was our biology. And even now, when I hear women talking about being burnt out, they very rarely, if ever, mention menopause. They don't tie the two together. So, what we did was we're going to tie the two together. We're going to close the gap once and for all and talk about biology, which is the reason why we developed the Executive Biology Audit. Now, this audit is meant to let you know that you are not failing, you are not crazy, you are not at all falling off anything except for what's happening is you don't know your numbers, likely. You're unmeasured and not learning how to regulate yourself. And so we've created the Executive Biology Audit for you to do some research on yourself. Because as we say in our Rise Advocates movement, I am my own full time job, right? And when we know that we are our own full time job, that means that when we learn about ourselves, we can lead better and we can serve better and we can perform activities, duties, behaviors better. And we have a certain sense of inner knowing. Our being is at peace. Our soul feels well. And as a result, we're able to do many things, even before we went through this issue. So the goal today is to tell you about this audit because once you know your numbers, you will begin to feel a sense of confidence. You'll feel an energy that you didn't feel before. You might feel a sense of joy. You might feel a sense of overwhelm of, wow, this is amazing information that you're going to get from this audit. And I want to break it down for you. We have 4 quadrants. The first quadrant is what I like to call the metabolic audit. And within this metabolic audit, we have to know what your energy is like because when you're metabolically functioning well, you have high energy, right? You know your resting heart rate, you know your glucose numbers, you know your insulin numbers, you know your blood pressure, you know about your protein and fiber intake, you know how often you are pooping. That has a big, big thing, or having bowel movements, if that's a little bit more politically correct. When you know, and that's just a little summary of what the metabolic audit is, but when you have a lower energy tempo, then that means your metabolic functioning is off, right? And you have to get control of that. That's one quadrant of the audit. The second quadrant of the audit is how quick do you return to a state of ease or a state of calm after somebody really makes you angry? Okay. This is called the nervous system audit, right? Because our nervous system is our central nervous system, the vagus nerve, is deeply, deeply affected during menopause and perimenopause. And a lot of us feel on edge. And so we have to look at things like what is, how are you actually getting yourself into a calm state? Are you breathing? Are you finding time to pull yourself away? Are you sleeping? What is your sleep quality like? Because when your sleep quality is good, your nervous system can regulate, right? And then these are some of the things that we talk about within the nervous system audit. And our goal is to get you back to calm by utilizing some of the tools that we teach. That's that. The third, number 3, quadrant talks about identity. And the question becomes, what identity are you using where you feel a sense of confidence? Because a lot of us are code switching, imposturing. We don't quite know why we're actually putting on these identities. And some of these identities that we have adopted over the years aren't serving us well. And so we have to remove those. Undoubtedly, what we want to have you feel is a sense of authenticity, a power that feels like this feels right. Now, some people are going to argue with the fact that, well, you do have to do these kinds of things because it's not all about you. You have to be able to communicate with people. And sometimes you're going to be switching of those identities. Well, the key is I don't call it like being fake or code switching or overperforming or lacking boundaries. I just call it having good communication skills with people. It's not like you got an identity switch. You just have communication with your home, your spouse, then you communicate with your boss, you communicate with your friends. But if you are 3, 4, 5, 6 different types of people, That's a lot to carry and very exhausting. And you don't have to do that. So we need to dive into that. The fourth quadrant is what I like to call executive presence, because a lot of us we don't take time to do strategic time, right? You are a brand in and of itself. So you need to have strategic thinking. You need to have visioning. You need to understand. And one of the things in our strategic executive presence is we talk about, your footwear, because your foundation is your executive presence. And some of us who grew up in the 80s and 90s when we were beginning our corporate careers, we always wore stiletto or high heeled shoes. Some of us are dealing with foot problems because of that, and we don't even understand that. Now you might say, how does that deal with executive presence? Because I want you to understand that your foundation, your footwear, your how you walk through this life is critical. It has everything to do with your executive presence. So when you take these four quadrants and you begin to analyze your life through the executive biology audit, you will start to see unfolding before your very eyes how you could begin to create 1, 2, 3 steps that are going to significantly change your life. Now, when you go through the executive biology audit, it's not just like a quiz, it literally is having a conversation with me. There's so many people who've taken it like, wow, that definitely sounds like I'm talking to you. Well, that's by design, because we don't want you to feel like you're just giving this information away. We want you to feel like you're having a conversation with me. So, this is our uh, AI assistant who will walk you through these steps, share some prompts with you, talk through how we can get you through the audit. And then what you're going to do is at the end, you're going to actually get a report, and it's going to tell you, are you thriving? Are you moderate? Or are you depleted in each one of these areas? And that alone will give you a clear indication of what some things you can actually do moving forward. Now, one of the things that we do with this executive biology audit that I want to be clear about is our goal is we want to work with you. We want to see if you might fit within some of the things that we are doing. And I just want to be clear, it's for executive women who really are ready for a change. We don't want to accept mediocrity, nor do we want to accept the fact that, oh, well, this is just my life. This is what I'm going to have to do. And I'm forever going to be doomed to never feeling like myself again. No, negative, my sis, negative. What we want you to understand is that we're very serious about helping you get to a state of ease within your life. I am 57 years of age. I am postmenopausal, and I feel like I'm in the best stage of my life. Why? Because I've done everything that I can teach you if you choose to work with us after going through the executive biology audit, and we put it into our Rise Advocates Academy. We are serious when we tell you this is tested, this is true. We have added, since some of the people have gone through the academy, we told you at the beginning of the video that we started to realize this phenomenon. Wait, no one's talking about biology. So we added biology to this, to our Rise Advocates Academy, and we're seeing great, great results. And I developed the audit because I needed the audit, just like I needed the academy. I wish someone could sit down and talk to me about some of the things that I was feeling and at least give me a sense of hope, a sense of direction, and a line that I could follow to say, okay, maybe I should try this. Maybe I should try this. Because when I was suffering through a lot of the things, my blood pressure was extremely high, my glucose levels were off the charts. No wonder I couldn't lose weight. I was gaining weight so quickly. My insulin levels were crazy. Um, my blood pressure at the times it was up and then it was down. And literally it's because my body was trying to regulate. But I didn't have a doctor. I didn't have anyone telling me this. That's why I am telling you this. And this is a step we all need to take. And so I am literally not begging you, but I'm really pleading with you to stop your day. Take time to do the executive biology audit. You know who this is for. It will only take about 10 to 12 minutes, for me a little bit longer, because I'm just sitting there chatting it up with my friend called the AI assist. And I really, really enjoy it. So I'm going to issue a challenge to you for not only you to take the audit, but if you lead a team in your company and you lead a team of women, or you are a part of your employee resource group for women, I would encourage you to give it to them. I would encourage you to give it to a colleague, a friend, sit down, talk about it, and then work together and say, this is what we're going to do together. We're going to work on this. We're going to work on our sleep. We're going to work on our movement. We're going to work on lifting weights, whatever that is what I hope that you all do. So that's what we want you to do. The executive biology audit link will be in the notes here, as well as if you desire to just have a conversation with me, then I would just say, message me, right? Message me and say, I would love to have a conversation with you. The best way to have a conversation with me is, again, to do the audit and then follow the prompts, and we can just take it to the next step and have that dialogue. Until then, my hope is that you will join me maybe on a Sunday for the Not Feeling Like Myself Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we can get into conversation there. This is a conversation that needs to happen more often. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any questions, again, just ping my team, but we'll have the link in the show notes, and I will see you in the next video.